You walk into Target for laundry detergent. You need one thing. You have a list. You're being responsible. You grab the detergent, $11.99 for the 64-ounce bottle, but then you see it. The 128-ounce bottle is $18.99. Your brain does the math instantly. That's 14.8 cents per ounce versus 18.7 cents per ounce. The big bottle is obviously the better deal. You grab the big bottle. Then you pass the storage bins. You weren't planning to buy storage bins, but the medium bin is $12.99 and the large bin is $14.99. For $2 more, you get 40% more space. Stupid not to get the large. You grab it. Then you see the throw pillows. The plain one is $19.99, but the premium one with the textured fabric is $24.99. Only $5 more for something that looks twice as nice. You grab it. You walk out of Target having spent $58.97. You came in for laundry detergent. You left with 3 things you didn't plan to buy, and you upgraded every single one of them. You don't feel manipulated. You feel smart. You got great deals. You maximized value per dollar on every purchase. But here's what actually happened. Target engineered every single one of those decisions. They placed a slightly worse option next to the thing they wanted you to buy, and your brain did exactly what they knew it would do. You switched from asking, "Do I need this?" to asking, "Which of these is the best deal?" And that switch, that tiny psychological pivot from absolute value to relative value, just cost you $47 you weren't planning to spend. And if that happens twice a month, every month, for 30 years, you just lost $33,840. That's not including what that money could have earned if you'd invested it. That's a down payment. That's a year of financial freedom. And you gave it away because you thought you were being smart. My name is Grayson Cole, and I spend way too much time thinking about the invisible systems that make us feel like savvy consumers while quietly destroying our savings rate. If you're someone who budgets carefully but still can't figure out where your money goes, or if you feel like you're always getting good deals but your bank account never grows, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because today we're exposing the upgrade trap. The behavioral pattern that makes you spend 20 to 40% more than you planned on almost every purchase you make. We're going to show you how corporations use something called asymmetric dominance to rewire your brain, how this connects directly to why your raises disappear, and why the middle class is hemorrhaging wealth through 1,000 tiny upgrades that all feel rational in the moment. This isn't about being smarter. It's about understanding that you're playing a game you didn't know existed. Let that sink in. Here's the thing about human brains. We're terrible at judging absolute value. If I showed you a carburetor and asked you what it costs, you'd have no idea. $80? $300? We don't have an internal pricing database. What we do have is a comparison engine. We're built to evaluate things relative to other things. An apple costs more than an orange? The apple must be better. This made sense 10,000 years ago when we were comparing which berry bush had more fruit. It makes us financially illiterate today, because corporations don't just sell us products. They architect the context around those products to manipulate our comparison engine. They create what behavioral economists call choice architecture. And the most powerful tool in choice architecture is the decoy. A decoy is an option that's designed to never be chosen. It exists solely to make another option look better by comparison. Let me show you how this works in real time. You're at Starbucks. You want coffee. The tall is $4.25. The grande is $4.95. The venti is $5.45. You weren't planning to get a venti. You don't need 20 ounces of coffee. But your brain sees that the grande and the venti are only 50 cents apart, and the venti is significantly more liquid. The math screams value, so you upgrade. You just spent $1.20 more than you planned. Starbucks knows most people walk in wanting a tall, but they price the grande awkwardly close to the venti to make the venti look like a steal. The grande is the decoy. It exists to kill the tall and push you to the venti. You think you outsmarted the system by maximizing value per ounce, but you didn't need those extra ounces. You didn't save money. You spent more. And if you do that 5 days a week, that's $312 a year. Over 30 years at 8% investment returns, that's $35,274 you just poured into a cup and threw away. That's not being dramatic. That's the math of small upgrades compounding in reverse. Let's escalate this because it gets so much worse. worse. The coffee is small money. The real damage happens when this same pattern shows up in the decisions that actually move your net worth. Let's talk about your phone. You walk into the Apple store or you're on the website. You want the new iPhone. The base model is 128 gigabytes for $799. That's your budget. That's what you plan to spend. But then you see the pricing ladder. 128 gigabytes, $799. 256 gigabytes, $899. 512 gigabytes, $999. Your brain does the calculation. For $100 more, you double the storage. That's only $100 for twice the capacity. And the 512 gigabyte model is only $100 more than that. For $200 total, you go from 128 gigabytes to 512 gigabytes. That's 4 times the storage for 25% more money. The value per gigabyte is insane. So you buy the 512 gigabyte model. You just spent $200 more than you planned. But here's the truth. You're currently using 62 gigabytes on your old phone. You will never use 512 gigabytes. You didn't need the upgrade. But Apple priced the 256 gigabyte model in the awkward middle to make the 512 gigabyte model look rational. They're managing your pain. They know that once you've mentally committed to spending $899, the jump to $999 feels trivial. The 256 gigabyte model is the psychological bridge. It exists to get you across the gap from your budget to their target price. Now multiply this pattern across every major purchase. Your car. You walk into the dealership looking at a Honda Accord LX for $28,500. That's your budget. But the salesperson shows you the sport trim for $31,800. Then they show you the EXL for $34,300. The sport has a few features you want, but it's missing the leather seats and the sunroof. The EXL has everything. And when you're already looking at $31,800, the extra $2,500 to get the fully loaded model feels small. You're thinking in percentages now. That's only 8% more. You buy the EXL. You just spent $5,800 more than you planned, but you're paying for it over 60 months, so it only feels like $97 extra per month. That's manageable, right? Wrong. That $97 per month for 5 years is $5,800. If you had bought the LX and invested that $97 per month at 8% returns, you'd have $7,019 after 5 years. The decision to upgrade the trim level just cost you $7,000 in future wealth. And we haven't even talked about the higher insurance premiums, the higher registration fees, and the faster depreciation on the luxury trim. Let's go bigger. Let's talk about housing, because this is where the upgrade trap destroys generational wealth. You're looking for an apartment. Your budget is $2,000 per month. You find a decent one-bedroom for $1,950. It's fine, it's clean, it's close to work. But then the leasing agent shows you the two-bedroom for $2,400. It's only $450 more per month. That's $15 per day. You could cut back on coffee and dining out. And the two-bedroom is so much nicer. Then they show you the two-bedroom with the upgraded kitchen and the balcony for $2,550. Now you're comparing the standard two-bedroom to the upgraded two-bedroom. The difference is only $150 per month. And the balcony adds so much value. You were planning to spend $2,000. You sign a lease for $2,550. You just increased your housing cost by 27.5%. That's $550 more per month than you budgeted. Over the course of a year, that's $6,600. Over the course of a typical 3-year lease, that's $19,800. If you had rented the $1,950 apartment and invested the $600 per month difference, you'd have $23,496 after 3 years at 8% returns. Instead, you have a balcony you use twice a month and $23,496 less in your savings account. But here's where it gets really insidious. The upgrade trap doesn't just make you spend more on individual purchases. It trains you to think in relative terms instead of absolute terms. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, which of these is the best deal? And those are two completely different questions. The first question protects your wealth. The second question destroys it, because best deal is always relative to the options you're shown. And the options you're shown are engineered to manipulate your answer. This shows up everywhere in the American consumer economy, and it's getting more aggressive. Let's talk about subscriptions, because this is the new frontier of the upgrade trap. You're signing up for a software tool. Maybe it's a project management app, or a VPN, or a meditation app. They show you 3 tiers. Basic, $9.99 per month, missing half the features you want. Pro, $19.99 per month, has most of what you need. Premium, $24.99 per month, has everything plus features you didn't know existed. The basic plan is deliberately crippled. It's unusable. It's the decoy. It exists to make you hate it. The Pro plan looks reasonable until you see that for only $5 more per month, you get the premium plan. That's only $60 more per year for unlimited everything. You were planning to spend $9.99. You sign up for premium at $24.99. You just increased your subscription cost by 150%, and you'll probably forget to cancel it for 2 years. That's $600 over 2 years that you didn't plan to spend. Multiply this across the average American's 12 to 15 active subscriptions, and you're hemorrhaging $2,000 to $3,000 per year on upgrades you didn't need. Now let's connect this to the bigger picture, because this is where the upgrade trap intersects with the middle-class financial squeeze. You get a raise, $75,000 to $90,000. That's a $15,000 bump. You're excited. You feel like you've made it. But then, the upgrade trap activates across your entire life simultaneously. You upgrade your apartment because you can afford it now. You upgrade your car because the lease is up and you deserve something nicer. You upgrade your gym membership, your subscriptions, your groceries from Trader Joe's to Whole Foods, your vacation from domestic to international. Each individual upgrade feels small. Each one feels justified. But when you add them all up, your expenses have increased by $14,000 per year. Your raise just evaporated. You're making $15,000 more and saving the exact same amount you were before. Zero. This is why people making $100,000 feel broke. This is why raises don't fix financial stress. Because every time your income increases, the upgrade trap recalibrates around your new income level. You're on a treadmill that speeds up the faster you run. Here's what nobody tells you about the upgrade trap. The goal isn't to get you to buy expensive things. The goal is to get you to switch from absolute thinking to relative thinking. Absolute thinking asks, do I need this? What will this cost me in total? What else could I do with this money? Relative thinking asks, which of these options is the best deal? Am I maximizing value per dollar? Am I getting ripped off by choosing the cheaper option? Absolute thinking protects your wealth. Relative thinking destroys it. And the entire consumer economy is designed to force you into relative thinking mode. They do it by controlling the menu. They do it by showing you 3 options when you only needed 1. They do it by pricing the middle option awkwardly to make the expensive option look reasonable. The solution is not to become a cheapskate. The solution is to decide what you want before you see the menu. Let me give you the framework that breaks the pattern. Step 1. Define your need in absolute terms before you shop. I need a phone with 128 gigabytes of storage. I need a 1-bedroom apartment under $2,000. I need a car that gets me to work reliably. Write it down. Make it specific. This is your anchor. Step 2. When you see the menu, identify the decoy. Look for the option that's priced awkwardly high or crippled just enough to make you hate it. That's the trap. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing it everywhere. The medium popcorn, the mid-tier subscription, the sport trim that's missing the one feature you want. They're all psychological weapons designed to push you up the ladder. Step 3. Ask the absolute question out loud. Does the base model solve my problem for a price I'm willing to pay? If yes, buy it. If no, walk away. Do not compare options. Do not do the math on value per unit. The moment you start comparing, you've already lost. You've switched to relative thinking. You're playing their game now. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out. You're buying a mattress. You budgeted $800. You walk into the store. They show you 3 mattresses. The basic model, $699. Feels firm but okay. The mid-tier model, $1,099. Noticeably more comfortable. The premium model, $1,299. Feels like sleeping on a cloud. The salesperson tells you the mid-tier is their most popular model. They tell you the premium model is only $200 more and comes with a 20-year warranty instead of 10. Your brain activates relative thinking. $200 more for double the warranty and even better comfort? That's obviously worth it. You buy the premium model for $1,299. You just spent $499 more than you budgeted. But here's what you didn't ask. Does the $699 mattress solve my problem, which is having a place to sleep that doesn't hurt my back? If yes, you should have bought it. The upgrade didn't solve a problem. It satisfied a comparison. You bought it because it felt like a good deal relative to the mid-tier model, which was priced deliberately high to make the premium model look reasonable. The mid-tier model is the decoy. Almost nobody buys it. It exists to make you spend $1,300 when you walked in planning to spend $800. Here's the part that makes me angry. This isn't just about individual purchases. This is about the systematic transfer of wealth from the middle class to corporations through engineered choice architecture. Every time you upgrade, every time you spend 20% more than you planned because the math looked good, you're reducing your savings rate. You're extending the number of years you have to work. You're delaying financial independence. And it's not your fault. You're not weak. You're not dumb. You're human. And humans are comparison machines. We cannot help but evaluate options relative to each other. The corporations know this. They've spent billions studying how we think. They've built entire pricing departments whose only job is to architect choices that make us spend more while feeling smart. The upgrade trap is not an accident. It's a system. And the only way to beat a system is to refuse to play the game. Here's the identity shift I want you to make. Stop trying to be a smart shopper. Start being an absolute thinker. A smart shopper compares options and maximizes value per dollar. An absolute thinker decides what they need, finds the cheapest version that solves the problem, and walks away. Smart shoppers get manipulated. Absolute thinkers keep their money. The true flex in 2026 is not driving the fully loaded trim. It's driving the base model and having $47,000 in your brokerage account that the upgraded trim buyer doesn't have. The true flex is not having the premium apartment with the balcony. It's having the modest apartment and $23,000 in savings. The upgrade trap wants you to measure success by what you consume. Financial independence measures success by what you keep. If this video made you realize you've been upgrading yourself into financial stagnation, share it with someone who always orders the large. Drop a comment with the last thing you upgraded without planning to. Let's see how much money we're collectively giving away to choice architecture. And remember, the next time you see 3 options and the middle one looks terrible, you're not looking at a product lineup. You're looking at a psychological weapon designed to separate you from your money. Name it, recognize it, walk away. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you want to know why $30 per hour doesn't actually pay you $30, click the left video. And if you want to know why a paid-off house can be the riskiest asset you can have, click the right video, and I'll see you there in a second.